Hi there, and welcome to Marketing Made Social. This is a podcast for ambitious brands and businesses who are ready to start scaling using strategic social marketing. My name is Vicky Jakes. I'm founder of Marketing Made Social, and each week we're going to dive into what's working right now in paid ads, in client acquisition and social strategy across industries like health, beauty, SaaS, property, professional services and beyond. Now, whether you're a small business owner, an individual running ads, or an e-commerce site owner looking to scale, you're going to get to hear real talk, real results and behind the scenes action, which I hope will make us stand out from other podcasts that you're listening to at the moment. We're going to kick off this week's episode talking about the 3 paid social myths that are killing your return on investment. And this is a really great way to kick off this podcast, because all I hear as an agency owner is the reason why people don't want to do ads. And hopefully at the end of this episode, you'll have some myths dispelled about things that have either stopped you from running ads or stopping you running effective ads. Now, I'm going to share some slides here, but if you are listening on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, I'll also put a link to these slides in the show notes for you as well. So don't worry too much if you think you're missing out. All right, so let's kick off here with the 3 paid social myths that are killing your return on investment and kind of what to do instead. Let's get this up full screen. Like I said at the beginning, I'm Vicky Jakes. I'm the owner of a small boutique agency based in Brighton, UK, called Marketing Made Social. And we help service-based businesses, e-com businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs, get results or better results from paid and organic social without fluff, without guesswork. We're very data-driven at Marketing Made Social. I have been in digital marketing, man and boy, for about 20 plus years now. I've been running Facebook ads since you could in the beginning, from 2013. And our agency, we work with everyone from coaches to clinics to accountants. We love getting leads. We love getting sales. That's what keeps us going every single day and gets us out of bed, is getting results for our small business clients. And we work across platforms like Meta, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Google. Now, why it's really important to bust the myths that are out there is because so much has changed since 2019. And just for comparison, 2019 is when Stranger Things came out for the first time, if you can believe that. And lots of advertisers are still running ads like it was when Stranger Things first hit Netflix. They're chasing reach without strategy. They're still boosting posts randomly, and they're blaming the algorithm, with the fingers above your head doing the bunny ears, right? But that just doesn't work anymore. The platforms have changed significantly since 2019. Users have changed, the rules have changed. And that means that your marketing and your approach has to change as well. Now, the first myth that I hear all the time is this statement: the algorithm's broken. The algorithm's broken. And I can say hand on heart that no algorithms have broken. But people think that their reach has collapsed, or they've been shadow banned, or that Meta's out to get them, or that a platform used to work and now it doesn't because it's saturated, and something is broken because of that. Your ads might have been running beautifully for a year and now they're not. The algorithm is the first thing to get blamed, but it's not the algorithm, because essentially you're blaming a system, like a coded system that looks for patterns and behaves based on patterns. That is not necessarily broken. It's normally one of these 3 things here. I'll just do this so you can kind of see everything on the screen. Your audience has seen your ads too many times, so you've got ad fatigue. So those ads that were running for a year and then fell off a cliff, they're probably the reason why your ads aren't performing anymore. that you haven't tested new hooks or formats that are in line with what users are doing in 2025. Your offer's vague, it's samey, or it's too generic, so you've got a positioning problem, or you're chasing conversions with cold audiences. So you're expecting people who've never heard of you before to convert immediately. And these things might have been overcome back in 2019 because the platforms work very differently, but that's not the case now. So audiences get tired really quickly and they scroll really fast in 2025. They have been TikTokified, if that's a word. They've seen your ad again and again, and even your best creative has got a expiry date, right? And fatigue happens for a whole bunch of reasons, right? So it's the same creative on repeat, like I said before. There's no new hook, no new angle, or you're not targeting enough people. You could target small audiences back in 2019, but the algorithms have been developed in order to try and reach as wide an audience as possible on social platforms now. So showing the same ad to the same 5,000 people will 100% lead it to fatigue. You might be running too many campaigns at once as well. So there is this insane system of ad setup that I used to see back in 2018, 2019, of running like dozens of campaigns alongside each other, but they overlap and cannibalize each other. And then you start asking Meta to run these campaigns that are essentially competing against each other. You might also be putting out the wrong message at the wrong time and asking for a sale, like I said before users know who you are. And everything expires much quicker now, I'm sorry to say. It is just a fact that that users get really bored really quickly. So, if something worked really well back in 2020, it's not going to work really well in 2025 because the entire world has changed. People have got older, tastes have changed, buyer behavior has changed. And if you're not keeping up with that social and societal aspect of how ads run, you're kind of going to get behind. Afraid to say that if any of those are ringing a bell with you, this slide might be the kind of the savior for you, right? Because this is what Meta actually wants, right? It wants people to keep scrolling and stay on the platform, right? It wants to reward content that entertains users, what they want to see, right? Not what you're selling or your brand wants to push, right? So things that worked in 2019, recycle Canva carousels, and that very generic graphic design style isn't going to cut it anymore, right? Meta instead wants content that feels what's called native, like it feels like it's a post from a real user. And this is why there has been such an incredible rise in what's called user-generated content, or lo-fi video, or founders, like real people getting on camera and talking to the camera. And these things work so much better than stock photography, than template graphics. The other thing that Meta really wants as well is clarity in message, right? You have got less than 1 second to make a user care, less than 1 second to make them stop the scroll. If you put something vague out, if you put something that doesn't say what the reward is going to be for that user, they're going to carry on scrolling. You can see here, like I've put in a user-generated content style ad on here where the hook is, I've got a hack for you. Well, you've got something for me, and a hack might mean you save me time or money. That is a hook in action there. Another thing that works really well in 2025 is what's called ugly ads. I know it's just like such an insane way of labeling something, but I think all credit should go to American Meta ads expert Barry Hott for that phrase, ugly ads. And ugly ads are like essentially something that just feels really DIY when you look at it. It's like got a native feel, and it works so much better than like a polished production. So in 2025, the highest performing ads don't look like ads. They look like a post that a user who doesn't know how to use social would post. It's shaky iPhone footage, right? It's text overlays that make them look like, you know, Snapchat or kind of TikTok videos, or it's someone talking direct to camera without any ring light in front of them. And you can see the example on the right-hand side of the screen here of that kind of 20% off personalized gifts. Like this is a post-it that's just been stuck over an e-commerce site there. And that's an ad. I mean, ugly doesn't mean like low quality, right? It means it's real. So the other thing to take into consideration when you're saying to yourself and to everyone in your business that the algorithm is broken is that you also might not be using the right objective in your campaigns as well. Objectives have changed significantly since 2019, and smart advertisers in 2015 are using Meta's Advantage Plus tools. And Advantage Plus is Meta's own decision-based algorithm that uses your customer data or your lead data and your pixel data connected with your site or connected with your CRM system to make decisions about who to find. So it will take your recommendations, what audiences to kind of go after, what interest groups to go after, but essentially it's going to use its own data to make those decisions. And using an Advantage Plus audience means that you simplify the targeting. So no more of these crazy campaigns with 20 audiences in it, all with different interest groups in each audience, because they're just cannibalizing and kind of eating into each other. Instead, you give Meta some ideas, link it with all of your owned media, your lists, your page, your Instagram, etc., and your pixel data, of course, and your data sets as well. And you will train the algorithm and give it time, and then in time it will perform better than you ever can. And that's something us advertisers really had to take some time to come to terms with as well. There is no point fighting the rise of automations across these platforms at all. So myth 2 that I want you to understand is that boosting posts is a waste of money. It's 2025. It's not a waste of money to take your best performing content and put money behind it. Boosting posts like this from the old days where you hit that blue post button on your page and then stuck 20 quid behind it doesn't work, right? Because that's just a shotgun approach to your marketing. But what does work is taking your best performing reels, your best performing organic posts, and giving them literally a boost of traffic from your warm audiences to make sure more of that audience see your stuff. So you can use your best performing reels as ads if they do really well out of that as well. So rather than spending money in your purchase objective campaign, you can spend less money boosting those posts to your warm audiences, and then taking those best performers and then putting them in your purchase objective campaigns as well. And this is a 360 approach to your ads that wasn't encouraged back in 2019, because it was always thought that organic and paid should be kept very separate, but they're very much intertwined now. And if you can use paid to help grow the reach of your organic work, then that in turn, that owned audience will then feed into the algorithm to help improve the performance across your purchase or your lead campaigns. So myth 3 is all about targeting. So many advertisers who I audit accounts of for the first time come to me and they're still running campaigns with like multiple interest stacks in them. And there used to be interest stacks of job titles, of where people like to shop, whether they were business page admins or not, etc. But the reality in 2025 is that Meta has moved on, right? Because you don't really get to control targeting. And obsessing over it is just a kind of a waste of time, because you could set in a interest of business owners, but if Meta thinks based on your followers, based on your email data, based on your pixel data and your purchase data, that actually it could find better people outside of that interest group audience who would convert, it's going to do that anyway. So welcome to the rise of what's called Advantage Plus Audience, where this is Meta basically forcing onto us their way of working. Now, you can, in the settings, kind of go back and run these original setups, but using Advantage Plus Audience, it's just letting the platform do what it does best, and it will work so much better than you as an advertiser. As John Loomer has said, who is a Facebook Meta ads kind of guru, that you only have the illusion of control now, because Advantage Plus Audience, the Advantage lookalike audiences, Advantage detailed targeting, they all override your inputs. So you could suggest an audience and say, I want to target people who like Tesco's or who like Marks and Spencer's, but Meta's going to expand that targeting, whether you like it or not, right? So what you need to do instead is go broad where possible, right? And your focus as an advertiser should be on your creative, on your funnel, on your product quality, on those signals, the data that you're feeding Meta. And then you can let the algorithm optimize delivery based on those elements, right? Not your assumptions as an advertiser. And I still see it now is campaigns that are full up with multiple interests, and they all eat into each other because one user might have the same interest as another, etc. And that segmented way of working is 2019, it's not 2015, and it just doesn't work anymore. So, the ideal campaign structure really in 2025 is to use broad or Advantage Plus audiences. So letting Meta do that optimization on your part, right? And using interest and lookalikes as suggestions, right? Not it has to strictly adhere to those things. And then you can repel the users that you don't want using your creative. And I must say, I have tested this where we've run Advantage Plus audiences to men and women when the product was focused at women. And Meta knows, it knows, because it can look at the data, it can look at your site, and it can make those assumptions. So it knows. I think only 5% of all total traffic was actually shown to men. And there were even some purchases from men as well. But what you need to do in your campaign structure in 2025 is just keep it really simple, like one ad set where possible, right? Where you put in your suggestions. Don't fragment your audiences. One for cold, one for warm, that's plenty. Maybe you want to target everyone who follows you, and then maybe you want to target people who don't. That's enough. And in your ad sets, you only need to run 3 or 4 ads max. Use the multiple text options, turn on the standard enhancements, let I kind of draw the line, like, guys, I think I personally draw the line at letting Meta run its AI image options at the moment, and I still switch that off wherever I can. But where possible, test and use these kind of automated ways of showing your ads as well. And use the Advantage Plus placements unless you really don't want to target users on Instagram or Facebook, or you've only got creative that can or needs to be shown on stories or reels, for example. Meta will shift the spend based on where it thinks your audience are going to convert. But what I hope you kind of get out of today's episode is that we've busted 3 myths together, right? We've looked at the algorithm. It's not broken, but your strategy might be, whether it's your creative strategy or the objective that you've chosen, or your resistance to the fact that the platforms have updated to be algorithm first and you want to be operator first, right? And the second myth is about boosting. It's not bad. Random boosting is very, very bad, but taking your best performing organic content and putting budget behind it so it's seen more is actually a really good strategy in 2025. And the third myth that we've busted as well is about targeting. It is not what it was in 2019, and that will not save your ads and improve them. The structure and the creative is what it's all about in 2025. So thanks so much for listening and watching. And if you really enjoyed this, please find me via the kind of link in the show notes and let me know. Provide me any feedback on kind of things that you would like to hear about as a advertiser or marketer running ads. And if you really feel like leaving a little review, please do that as well, because this is a brand new podcast. It needs all of the support it can get as well. So thanks so much for listening. If you've got right to the very end, then please note that you are one of my favorite people on the planet right now. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you in the next episode. All right, take care. Until next time. Bye.